While on the 7th of February 1853, a high voltage drama was getting enacted in the Alappe temple, 51 kilometers away in Gosripuram, Kochi, life was normal like on any other day, till the gentle forenoon breeze brought with it the first rumors of the sizzling news of missing Tirumala Devar deity from Alappe temple. That was sufficient to light up the whole Gosripuram village in no time. With the rumors flying thick and fast, it gathered momentum, adding an extra pound of weight as it entered and exited each ear and mouth on its way, and had acquired the monstrous proportions of a storm by the afternoon, sweeping the whole GSB population towards the sprawling temple premises. While the unconfirmed rumor cheered the optimistic few who, knowing the previous 6 relocations of their Tirumala Devar deity since the first installation in Vijayanagara kingdom in 1772 AD, were hoping for his materialization in their midst at any time, many found it highly disturbing, as it was the first time, perhaps, in the history of the deity, the relocation had taken place unknown to any about the place where it had gone or taken to. Even as the top social leaders and core team directly involved in the daring act of relocation, maintaining a studied silence, none had any clues about the actual happenings in faraway Alappe, till the confirmed news of the idol missing reached the shores of the Kochi through a couple of boatsmen who had come to Kochi Bazaar with the merchandise from Alappe. Even as things were taking place at a furious pace, the core group and the socio-cultural leaders in Kochi were waiting with bated breath for the next move from the Alappe temple. By evening, the police teams from Kingdom of Kochi landed in Gosripuram, following a complaint from the King of Travancore, and ransacked the houses of the devotees who had visited Alappe temple on the ill-fated day of 6th February 1853. From the way the police team went about their job, it was obvious to many that they were least serious about the theft. That only created more panic in the pessimist's mind. Within the next couple of days, they soon had another worry, as the King of Travancore, accusing the King of Kochi of siding with the Kochi GSB Samaj, filed a police case in the Madras High Court through the British resident stationed at Kollam. Unknown to many in the kingdom of Kochi, the royal family had been passing through harrowing succession issues once the powerful King Shaktan Tamburan suddenly passed away in the year 1805, following a brief illness, setting stage for the coronation of the next in hierarchy. But within the next 50 years, the kingdom saw 6 members of the royal family being coronated in quick succession. With all of them dying in harness, the devoted royal elders were unanimous that it was ominous fallouts of some adharmic deeds of one among them. The high-handedness of Shaktan Tamburan was still vivid in their minds. They were now determined not to repeat the same old mistakes. The reason to go soft on the GSB Samaj for the missing deity at Alappe was perhaps an outcome of that conscious decision. The royal family also knew that the deity was shifted out of Kochi kingdom by the GSB Samaj only because of their suspicion on the intentions of the King Shaktan Tamburan. Or was it an outcome of unbound grace of the deity of Tirumala Devar on his devotees that made the royal family not to stretch the issue beyond a limit? But the Travancore king was far from amused seeing such an attitude from the king of Kochi. But by that time, both the kingdoms had already come under the British Empire in India as princely states and could do nothing directly to sort out their problems. Exasperated, the Travancore king lodged a complaint to the Madras High Court through the British resident Lieutenant General William Cullen, stationed at Kollam. But Lieutenant General William Cullen turned out to be the divinely sent man for the occasion for the GSB devotees of Kochi. Lieutenant General William Cullen, after being in India, especially in Travancore, for such a long time, had more or less fallen in love with the local culture, customs, food, etc. He was often accused by the Christian missionaries as Hindu by faith, as he strongly opposed the Christian missionaries' conversion activities. Reading the situation, the Kochi GSP leaders were quick to set in motion track to diplomacy through some of their Samaj members who occupied top administrative posts in the princely states under the British Empire. The Madras High Court had, before going into the specifics of the case, wanted the stolen deity to be returned back to Alappi temple. Since it was a difficult task in the absence of the missing deity, Lieutenant General William Cullen, using his power, stepped in to amicably settle the issue between two of the British princely states. After meticulously going through all the issues, Lieutenant General Cullen found that the deity of Tirumala Devar was originally worn by the GSB Samaj of Kochi and worshipped by them since 1599 AD. He also found that the deity was shifted from Kochi to Thuravur in 1792 and then to Alappi in 1793. Only because of their suspicions on the intentions of the king of Kochi, Sri Shaktan Tampuran. Later, noticing the changed power equations in Kochi kingdom, the Kochi GSB Samaj wanted to bring back the deity to Kochi from Alappi. Though the Travancore king was neutral in his position, a handful of the king's advisors were responsible for the strong position the Travancore king had taken on the deity. Lieutenant General William Cullen also observed that the king of Kochi was also more than eager to get the deity back to the Kochi Samaj. Noticing that all the evidences and ground realities were favorable to the GSB Samaj, Lieutenant General William Cullen convinced the King of Travancore not to proceed with legal case. With that, the decks were cleared for awarding the legal rights of Kochi Tirumala Devar to the GSB Kochi Samaj. Thanks to the mature and fatherly role played by a neutral personality like the British resident Lieutenant General William Cullen, Kochi and Alappi GSB Samaj also decided to bury their differences on that issue once for all. That was the day the GSB Samaj of Kochi was looking forward to since 1792. They were elated to see that their upasanas like upavasas, samuhik prarthanas, bhajans, etc. for getting back the deity of Tirumala Devar finally bearing results. It was time for great celebration of the occasion, and thousands took part when the deity was ceremoniously brought from Ernakulam to Kochi. And the core team who were involved in the secret mission in the true spirit of a devotee's self-abdication downplayed the crucial roles they had by becoming just a part of the general public in their festive best. Even as those historical events were enacted outside, the sprawling campus of Kochi temple was abuzz with the frantic construction activities of a grand temple befitting the Tirumala Devar. Started in May 1852, the first and the second phase of the construction was over by 1880 AD. The majestic Sri Kovil with a Vimana type roof topped with a glittering golden shikha, inner and outer prakaras constructed with the top quality black granite stones, top class teak wooden roof structures that had inner wooden ceilings and outer copper plates giving foolproof protection from weather were shining like marvelous specimen of a great temple strictly adhering to the ancient temple structure. The wooden inner ceilings for both the inner and outer prakaras had beautiful wooden carvings of scenes from epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. The Namaskara Mandap in the outer prakara had a huge and beautiful glass chandelier right in the middle of the ceiling. The big temple bell, perhaps the biggest in Asia. The spacious and open courtyard housed the four Upakovils that had a granite foundation, walls, and copper plated roofs. The huge open space outside the four Upakovils was a sheer delight to hold, offering stunning looks of the Sri Kovil, inner and outer prakaras and Upakovils. The works on the third phase had not yet started, that involved construction of the Dwajastamba, four Rajagopurams, huge size Shiveli Pandals on all four sides, Agrashalas come boundary walls, Kulamandapams, one each on the northeast and the southeast corner, etc. But since the basic things were in place, the GSB Samaj decided to go ahead with the consecration of the deity at the earliest occasion. Finding almost everything in order, the GSB Samaj made grand preparation for the third consecration of the deity. Special emissaries with invitations were sent to all Samaj Bandhavas settled in over 16 communes spread all over Kerala. In the presence of them, on Vaishaka Shuddha Trayodashi, Chaitra Nakshatra, 30th May 1881, Swami Bhuvanendra Tirtha of Kashimath Samsthan, Varanasi, consecrated the deity of Tirumala Devar. The revered Swamiji also formulated a detailed manual for democratically administering the huge temple and its properties through elected representatives by the grown-up members of Kochi GSB Mahajans. With that, a platform was finally created to initiate socio-educational, economic and cultural reforms that would enable the community to progress by holding on to its ageless socio-cultural and religious customs and practices. How far the GSB Mahajans and their elected representatives lived up to that grand vision is for the posterity to judge.